Most entrepreneurs start the new year with big goals for their business, but by February, they're back doing what they've always done. Their plans have been forgotten about and nothing changes. Well, that used to be me as well until I built this simple planning system that blew up my business and guarantees each year is better than the last. And it hasn't just worked for me, it's the exact system I give to my clients in the Mastery OS to help them achieve their business goals every single year. So in this video, I'm going to show you this super simple yearly planning system, how to make sticking to it for the entire year effortless, and how to use it to make this year the best year your business has ever had. Alright, so first let's look at what a plan really is and why it's so important for every business to have one that they stick to if they want to grow. Because look, growth and improvement is hard. And as humans, we are naturally drawn to the path of least resistance in order to conserve as much energy as possible, which means we will not do the things required to grow, the hard things, unless we have a reason otherwise. And that reason is all a plan, because a plan is ensuring that the decision of what you do is already predetermined. This way, you're much more likely to do the right thing, even if it's hard. If that decision is not already made, you're so much more likely to give in to doing the things that you've always done, so you'll make no changes. You'll react and keep doing the easy things that don't create change. And look, doing that for one day is no big deal. But one day turns into 2 days, which turns into 1 week, which turns into 2 weeks, which turns into 52 fucking weeks. All of a sudden, another year's gone, and you're in the same bloody place. That's why plans are so damn important, especially in business when you have so many things that pop up every day that you have to deal with. But even if you make a plan, most business owners absolutely mess them up, and in fact, they don't even stick to them. So now I'm going to show you the 6 foundations for making a plan that guarantees every year in business is better than last year. So to start, let me show you the first foundation, and messing this up is one of the biggest reasons businesses don't grow or improve. And to explain it, I want you to imagine that you had to chop down a tree with an axe, right? And you're given 2 options to chop down this tree. You can either take one swing at 100 different trees and hope one of them falls down from the single swing, or you can take 100 swings at one tree and focus all your effort on it until it falls down. Now, which option do you think is more likely to work? Well, if you want to chop down a tree, you're never going to do that with one swing of an axe, no matter how small the tree is. What you need is a ton of repeated effort focused at chopping down one tree. And it is no different for when it comes to growing your business and making a plan for that growth. You're never going to accomplish your goals if you're chasing 10 of them and taking one hit at each. You need to go all in on one goal so that you can make a plan for that singular goal and so that you can put in repeated effort into achieving it every single day. So the first step for making a plan is simple. You pick one big goal for your business in the next 12 months, because the more goals you chase, the more you split your focus, the more you dilute your effort, and the less likely you are to achieve any. Now, in terms of what the goal should be, it's typically a revenue or profit number, but it does not necessarily have to be, okay? And look, don't overthink what the goal is. It's not that important what the goal is. What's more important is that you have a goal that you want to achieve. Now, once you have that first foundation in place, you can then move on to the second. And this is how you take that big, broad goal and turn it into something that you can actually take action on, because a yearly goal on its own is just a nice sentence, right? You can set a goal, but that doesn't make it a plan, and it sure as hell doesn't mean you'll achieve it. Here's an example of what I mean, right? At the beginning of last year, I worked with an entrepreneur whose yearly goal was to hit a certain profit number, and they wanted to do it by increasing their profit margins. Yet every week, they just kept doing what they always did. They didn't make any changes. And of course, by the end of Q2, nothing had changed. So I got him in a call. We sat down and converted that big, vague goal into specific goals for Q3, like systemizing fulfillment, cleaning up their offer structure, and changing their pricing. Within 90 days, they'd not only achieved their Q3 goals, but they also achieved their goal profit margin. The point here is that you can have a yearly goal, but it's so far away and big that it's easy to put off taking action because there's no urgency. But then all of a sudden, you wake up one day, realize you've never taken action on it, and you've forgotten all about it. However, as humans, we work incredibly well in 90-day sprints. They're far enough away to allow us to do something meaningful and big, but still close enough to create urgency and force us to take action. So the second step for making a plan is to take that one big 12-month goal and every quarter set 3 to 5 goals, or rocks as we call them in the MOS. And these rocks should be big, concrete outcomes that, if completed, move you closer to that yearly target. Again, it doesn't matter what these are too much. They're typically the likes of fixing a bottleneck in the business, launching a new offer, finding a new warehouse. It is so incredibly dependent on your business, your 1-year goal, and what you actually need to do to achieve that goal. So I can't give you much guidance there, but one thing I'll say is don't try to plan every quarter in, microscopic detail right now, because things change so fast that what you think you might have to focus on in Q3 could be different from what you actually will have to focus on in Q3. So instead, you want to have a rough idea of what you think your rocks will be in each quarter, but formally set each quarter's rocks at the start of that quarter. That way your plan it's structured and it's still systemized, but flexible enough to adapt as the year evolves. And once you've step 2 in place, you can move on to the third foundation. And this is where most businesses screw everything up, because not doing this will destroy any chance of your business growing at all. Now, to keep this simple, imagine you went to IKEA and you bought a desk. Of course, you go home to build it, you open the box, you empty it onto the floor, but you see no bloody instructions. Well, guess what? You're fucking screwed. Yes, you know what the desk should look like, but good luck putting all the right pieces in the right places with the right screws and doing it all in the right bloody order. Good luck. Well, that's exactly what happens most quarterly goals, because on paper the rocks look great, right? But when you sit down on a Tuesday, you have no idea what fixed fulfillment actually means in terms of what you need to do at 10 a.m. You have no idea what exact step to take right now. So step 3 is turn every rock into what we call in the MOS strategic actions. Now, I have a tool that I normally keep for my client to help them with this, but I'll give it to you for free through the link in the description below. So, click it, get this sheet, and then list every rock you have right now in the left-hand column. Then list out the exact steps required to complete that rock. Then assign a specific owner to each step. So who is doing that step, whether it's you doing all the steps or one team member doing one step and another team member doing a different step. How that looks will obviously be, incredibly dependent on your business, but then give each step a due date. And when each step is completed, tick the box off and cross it off. Now, all of a sudden, instead of your rock being this big vague thing, which is hard to take action on, it's now a series of steps with deadline and accountability. So it actually gets completed and it's much easier to stick to. And that brings us to the fourth foundation, which builds on your rocks, because they're essential for ensuring the business improves consistently over the year. But if you want the business to grow, there's one other thing that you need to plan out. So if you think of your business like a funnel, where at the bottom of the funnel, people buy, and then they come out the funnel as a customer. Well, to grow your business, you need more people coming out of the bottom of the funnel, right? More customers. So how do you do that? Well, you need more people coming in the top of the funnel, because yes, you can obviously improve the percentage of people who make it through the funnel, because funnels often have holes where people fall out. But these are the bottlenecks that you'll likely end up working on as rocks over each quarter. Regardless, the main way to grow your business is through getting more people out the bottom of the funnel by getting more people in through the top. These are people at the top are people interested in buying from you, leads. So how do you get more leads? Well, you have to do more or better marketing. But if you want your business to grow over 2026, you can't just randomly market and hope for the best. No, that's not going to work. Step 4 then is to plan your marketing campaigns for the year instead of winging it. Now, how this looks will massively depend on how you market, but you need it planned out. For example, will you be running ads and an email campaign for Black Friday? If so, plan out what your marketing is going to look like in terms of the core message, the angle, the thing you're promising, the assets you need for this marketing, and do this for the entire year, because this way you can be structured and systematic with your marketing, and you can get all your marketing assets created ahead of time instead of panicking last minute and, rushing your marketing every month, or maybe doing no marketing at all. And quite simply, if you want your business to grow, you need to market more. And if you want to market more, plan out your marketing campaigns for the year. So by now, you have got your goal, you've got your rocks, and you've got your marketing campaigns all planned out. But I can guarantee that you'll forget either some of it or all of it if you do not follow this fifth step. Because look, you know what business is like. You can have the best, most detailed plan, but you're always going to have things that you could never have predicted just randomly appear and try to throw you off track. And what typically happens is you end up forgetting about whatever you had planned. Like, for example, I had a client who kept saying to me that, we'll do a big summer marketing campaign. But by the time summer came around, they'd had a ton of fires and problems that made them essentially forget about all their campaigns and all their rocks, which meant they didn't do their big summer campaign and their revenue took a hit. So for their next big push, which was in November, December, I get them to schedule their campaigns and rock deadlines into a yearly calendar. This way they could see, okay, we prep this month, this week we launch, this quarter we work on these rocks. And Essentially, they could not forget them. So once you've planned your campaigns and rocks, step 5 is to block them into a yearly calendar, whether that's in Notion, Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, whatever you use. Just add events or blocks or tasks, whatever it is in your app, for when campaigns run, when prep for the campaigns need to start, and when steps of rocks are due. Now, I do this in my Notion calendar so that my Google Calendar doesn't get too messy, but it essentially means I use Google Calendar for the likes of calls and stuff like that, whilst I use my Notion calendar for planning out the year with my marketing campaign scheduled, rock scheduled, etc. And I can see the entire year for my business at a glance, and I can stay ahead. I never get left behind, and I never end up rushing things. But now, here's the magic. So you have your entire year planned out, and logically, if you stick to the plan, your business will improve and grow over the next year and in each quarter, right? Well, all you need now is a way to stick to that plan. So how can you do that? Well, the easiest way is to turn each marketing campaign into a strategic action as well, with each step of creating the campaign. So creating the assets, scheduling and launching those assets, analyzing the data and all the rest noted in the steps column with deadlines and assigned responsibility. And you want this to be planned in a way where that each marketing campaign is already built before the campaign goes live. This way you have all your rocks and marketing campaigns, the things that will grow your business over the next year, in one place with steps, deadlines, and accountability. So all you need to do now to have the best year in business you've ever had is complete each of those steps by their deadline and work through the sheet. And the best way to do that is Foundation 6. Plan tomorrow. And when you're planning tomorrow, look at your strategic action sheet. See what steps you have to do tomorrow or over the next few days for your rocks and your campaigns. Schedule to do whatever ones tomorrow, and make them your bloody priority, because guess what? They are your priority. Do not be surprised if your business does not grow or improve if you do not do the things that make it grow and improve. By prioritizing the next step of your strategic actions, you are prioritizing those things, making sure the business grows and improves, and obviously make sure each team member does this as well so that they're prioritizing their steps and all if they have them. But seriously, if you do not prioritize these rocks and campaigns, your business will not grow because you're not doing the things that grow your fucking business. Yes, it is so obvious, but nobody seems to fucking realize it and act on it. So prioritize them, plan them, do them first, and ignore everything else until you've got what you need to do today for those rocks and campaigns done. And obviously this will be so much easier to do if you're able to take a pile of, useless tasks off your plate. So click this video on screen now, and I'll show you the delegation system that makes your business run without you.